Good morning. Welcome to Sandra Xtra. I hope everyone is enjoying their Saturday, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. This is the live Survivor, not a review, not a recap. I'm just going to talk about Survivor a little bit because everyone knows they were able to choose a sole survivor. And even though I didn't love the season, I even had a couple of rants on the season, I'm excited about the sole survivor. It was one of the people that I didn't mind winning. So it was actually Kyle. Toward the end, I had Camila as one of the choices. I started out the season rooting for Say, and then the way the season went, Say was out before jury selection. She was actually the person out before they even started selecting the jury, and then Cedric was the next one from her tribe. Good morning, Sharon Gobble. Thank you for joining. I hope you're having a good Saturday. I'm just coming in talking about the Survivor review. I'm doing something different with these comments, so I want to make sure I show them on the screen. I thought they'd show up automatically. There's a little difference in StreamYard, so I'm getting acclimated a little bit more. Okay, so this actually, it wasn't a bad finale. There were things about it that I did not love, but it ended up being okay for me. So I'm not going to do a full review. I'll just talk about a few points, and then as people come in, or if anyone did watch it, we can discuss it. Okay, so of course they start the beginning like they always do. After voting out Shaheen, they congratulate each other on making the final five. Camila brags about her acting skills, as she always does when she gets together with Kyle, because she and Kyle, nobody knows that they are the secret duo. So they actually go to a challenge where they're going to get to go to Sanctuary again. They're going to compete for pasta. And as you know, out there, talking about food is the number one thing that they do. So they're competing for pasta. And then it's a really clay covered dirty challenge. Thank you so much, TNT Gmon, for coming into the chat. Good seeing you. I appreciate you being here for the live Survivor review. So as they go through the kind of an obstacle course, they end up covered in clay. And there's a funny part. Camila's coming through. She was on the end. She was in the end. But what I like about this obstacle course is that they have the physical part. And then once you get through the physical part, she had to get through this clay-filled pit of clay. It was kind of disgusting. But once she was able to get through that, Joe was way ahead, of course. Kyle was way ahead, of course. The next part of the obstacle was solving a puzzle. So that was pretty good. They started, Eva, of course. Do you want to help each other? Eva's always looking for a crutch. And that was one of the reasons I'm glad that she didn't win. So she was helping Kyle. Kyle was helping her, but Kyle told the audience, he said, well, we all had the same letters. And then she gave me an E. And so I was able to get more letters than she was. But Eva solved that part of the puzzle. Long story short, Camila ended up winning. She ended up winning the lunch. So she took Eva with her. Eva, until last week, Eva had been on every single food challenge. And she took her because she was bragging about, she's not bragging, but she was looking forward to eating spaghetti, pasta, that sort of thing. So I wasn't looking forward to Eva and her dirty fingernails eating pasta without cleaning her hands. Lillian Pickney, good morning. Thank you for coming into the chat for the live Survivor review. I appreciate it. So she did end up taking Eva, and that sends the rest of the group back to camp, which is a small group. It's Joe, it's Midge. I'll think of whoever the third person was, because they're down to 5 now. Oh, Kyle. Kyle went back to camp with them. So, and I hate Camila took Eva, but Eva is actually encouraging Camila, because Camila has told the audience from the beginning. She said her family actually told her that they have her as the least likely to be a survivor and the first one to be voted out. So through the season, and Camila's really smart, but through the season, she would have this down self-talk, and especially in the confessionals. So I was happy that she was part of a duo, which was her secret duo with Kyle, where he would kind of speak life into her, and they would come up with all these great ideas and kind of undermine people and get them out of there. But nobody knew they were doing that. So they were the undercover duo, whereas Joe and Eva were this super public duo who was just dictating the next person going home, the next person going home, or so they thought. We find out later that's not the case. So Camila, because she won, she is the one that gets to decide who's going to make fire and who is going to go to the final 4. So she says she's deciding between Joe and Mitch. Camila tells Mitch she doesn't want to sit near him in the final four. And remember, Mitch is a PE teacher. Mitch is really likable. He used to be good at challenges, but he didn't really win challenges. Now, toward the end, I thought it was because he was hungry and tired. Because Mitch is everybody's friend, I think people weren't afraid to make him upset, and they wouldn't bring him to any of the food challenges. Joe brought him once because Mitch was visibly hungry and getting kind of down. So Joe brought him to one food challenge. But Kyle also talked with Mitch. They discussed what they should have done. Mitch finally laments that he should have made a move. This is about probably, I think, 3 weeks too late. He could have made a move when Star was asking him to make a move, but he told us and he didn't trust Star. So that he ended up letting the power group vote her out. And now Mitch doesn't really have a chance. He's on the bottom of that 5, just like he was on the bottom of that 6, and he's going home. So they go to the first tribal council. They're going to have 2 tribal councils because since they're down to 5 people, they're going to have a tribal council where they vote one more person out, and then they're going to be down to 4. So because it's even numbers, they're going to decide who makes fire, and then somebody makes the fire, and that ends the game. So Jeff started the tribal council with Camila. How does she feel about her second immunity win? And she said that she's constantly drowning out a bad voice. I talked about her negative self-talk, which is, I understand Camila, but I don't understand people that do that. That's kind of rough to be the hardest voice against yourself. You got to encourage yourself. Jeff reads the vote. Eva says that it's the last night to play an idol. So she plays Star's idol. That got on my nerves so bad. Eva should not have still had her idol in her pocket. I mean, that was just, but Eva's shameless, as we could see. Camila aced that puzzle. I was so disappointed when she took Eva. Yeah, Eva must be showing them something at camp that the rest of us at home can't see. But then again, when I read the comments on the sites, there are people that love Eva. And then there are people that just are annoyed with Eva, as I am, and as you are sometimes, Sharon. So they rejoice that they finally made, I forgot. I'm sorry. Kyle got votes. Mitch got votes. This was at the first part of the tribal council. Mitch was voted out. He's the 7th person on the jury. He is the 14th person out. So we knew that was going to happen with Mitch. They rejoiced like they always do after a tribal. They down to the final 4. So Kyle is saying it's 2 groups of 2 people that played 2 different games. The undercover duo, K&K, Kyle and Camila, and then, of course, Joe and Eva, who think they're running the game. So no one still knows that Kyle and Camila are close. So they sit, they watch the sunrise. Eva says she wants one more night, and that she says the next immunity, she wants to be able to take Joe with her. So she's assuming that they're going to the end, which is a safe assumption because Eva's pretty much floated with all of the things that she has been given, including the idol throughout. Her assumption is correct. So they have Kyle and Joe battle for final immunity. Joe drops out, and then Kyle wins the immunity, which is his second immunity win. So he's guaranteed the final 3. He and Camila have the exact resume because they are that secret duo. They've been working together to decide behind the scenes who's going out. They orchestrated Thomas going home with an advantage in his pocket. They orchestrated Shaheen going home. And nobody really knew that Kyle was the one doing that. So Camila tells Kyle straight up, we have the same game. If I sit next to you, I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat you. And Kyle said the same thing. He said that you're probably going to have to make fire. So Kyle tells Eva he's going to have her making fire. Kyle's rooting for Eva to win, but he still wants her to make fire. Eva says she's going to make a killer fire. So Camila goes off to herself, and she says she take it as a compliment. He have her making fire because she is a threat. Camila and Eva approach this 2 different ways. Eva goes off to herself, and she just starts pulling together her supplies and just working on it. And it's frustrating, but she's working on it. Eva goes off to make the fire, but she's still in a place where she can be seen and heard. She has her supplies, and then she starts doing her Eva thing. I'm not going to go into what exactly she was doing, but it was getting loud, the grunting, all of that stuff. Eva has told the audience, she has shared with us, we have seen her go through her autistic, she called it an event or something. I have compassion for that. I had compassion for Eva. I started to really like Joe when he pulled her through that. But at this stage of the game, I don't know. I'm not a suspicious person, but some of that, I'm not going to say Eva was putting on, but I'm going to say it came to such a state that Kyle ended up pulling Joe aside and said, is it fair for me to put her in this position? Now, Eva's out there playing the game with everybody else. She's done great. She has had no accommodations. She's in the top 4, but now she's out here grunting and crying and getting so frustrated. Joe goes over there to her, and Kyle, who fairly won the last immunity, gets to decide who makes fire, decided that Eva's going to make fire and Camila. And Eva is putting on such a show that Kyle now is wondering whether or not he should have sent her to make fire. So that kind of got on my nerve. Joe said, "Can I help you?" "No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it." She's having another one of those moments, made for TV moments. Yeah, Mitch should have gone, Sharon. Mitch did absolutely nothing. I knew he wouldn't make it to the end. He was too satisfied to be, well, I'm going to be in the top 6. Mitch, you were at the bottom of that 6. Well, now I'm in the top 5. You're at the bottom of 5. And he had a chance a couple of times to elevate his position. And he was well liked. So that was the thing that really got on my nerve. Eva started breaking down and crying over the fire. So Joe, who is a fire captain, said, "Well, will you at least let me get all your supplies and coach you through?" Joe goes and get all the stuff Eva needs for fire to help her, coconut shells and all this kind of stuff. And the fire captain trained Eva how to make a fire. Camila's out there working on the fire herself. Sharon, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to believe it. I'll read the comment as is. I may add commentary later. I knew Eva would do her meltdown act. The fire captain is coaching Eva on making a fire, y'all. That's what happened. He's coaching her. So they get to the final. This is going to be the final tribal. They bring the jury in. I love to see the jury looking so clean and well rested and everything. Mitch joins them as the last one voted out. Eva and Camila get together to start building a fire. Eva's like, "Oh, I thought this would be exact the same thing I had. Now this is a little different. So I'm getting a little bit, she's putting on for Jeff. Jeff's like, "Oh, Eva." Jeff is always speaking life into Eva, encouraging Eva. So Eva starts building a fire, and she's doing a good job. She's had training all day from the fire captain. Her fire start, they have the string up here, and then they use the supplies to build a fire. And as the fire goes up, the first one to have it burn the string and the string snaps, they win. Camila is using her flint. She's doing everything she can. Camila's having no luck. She's talking herself through. She's getting kind of nervous. Jeff's doing that talking both people through that he always does. Eva's fire goes almost to the top, and then it burns out. So she starts that stuff. "Oh, I don't know." And then Camila says, "Eva, come on, you can do it. You can do it." Camila is supposed to be working against this girl. "Come on, you can do it." And trying to encourage Eva. So the jury's looking, everybody, they're making a moment out of it again. Eva's able to build her fire back up after the wind blows it out. It snaps the thing. Eva is the one that is going to be in the finale. And Camila, she didn't get anything going with her fire. Camila is the last person that's going to be a member of the jury. So for the finale, we have Joe, who Kyle had promised that he would sit next to him. I like that Kyle kept his word, because I felt Kyle was kind of underhanded. Started with him saying he was an attorney. That was another thing. When they had their final night, Kyle finally came clean to the entire group that he was an attorney and not a teacher. And then Eva said, "Well, can I tell you what I do?" She's doing the one-up thing. And Eva's impressive. I'm not going to take that from her. Eva's not a Brown student who just plays on a hockey team with men. Eva is actually a PhD candidate. She's already graduated from Brown. She's a PhD candidate. She does play on a hockey team with men. Some other things she was saying about her research, work for the government, all this stuff. And it was funny, as the three of them were sitting there, Eva, Joe, and Kyle, Joe said, "I'm still just a fire captain," which I appreciated Joe for that. He had good humor about it. But the one thing I didn't trust or like about Kyle was, I felt like, you're an attorney. That is something to be proud of, because he's had a past with the legal system. He's been incarcerated before. So that is something to be proud of. I know people don't like attorneys, but people always want to use the social capital of a teacher, but they don't want to earn that little bit of money that the teachers earn. Sharon feels the same. Jeff is so shady. He down low wanted Eva to win. Yeah, Eva or Joe. That's who he was pulling for all along. He was, and in the game, sometimes I felt like he would be talking so much, trying to distract the other players, meanwhile encouraging Eva, which really got under my skin. And you can't tell me finding all those challenges in a bowl of chips, this, that, walking out in the middle of the night to find a advantage. I think they were trying to really heavy-handed have this girl do something so they can have this big autism-related I'm sorry, my screen froze, but that's okay. Autism related finale, which they did anyway. They ended up, well, I'll say who the winner is. Okay, we'll go through. So let's see, Kyle, Joe, and Eva. They sit before the jury as the final three. Jeff brings out champagne and pizza. Joe, the fire. Oh, I'm sorry. I've already read that part. So we got through that already. So the final jury has Kyle, Eva, and Joe. Eva sees the boat, and then she yells, "Oh, yeah, we're getting the boat. We're going to get food." So Kyle and then we're talking. They say, you never know what a jury actually is going to do. They bring the jury in. Shaheen says that Kyle was the best at being strategic, and Camila and Mitch say that Kyle just needs to lay out like what his case was for the game. So Eva is eating with her mouth full, as she likes to do, talking. Professional Mary says that Eva has trusted sometimes the wrong people, but she's very courageous. I was kind of shocked to see Mary rooting for Eva the way that she was, as well as Star. To me, Star got treated dirtiest by Eva, but you know, Star's just she's a light person. I like Star. So the jury starts to question them. David, who's had the poker face and pretending that he was angry the whole time, we find out that David said that he's happy now that he doesn't have to be have his mean mug on. He gave them a knock joke. It was kind of cute. He said knock. He had the mean mug on. They said, "Who's there?" He's like, "Not me. Congratulations, you guys. This, that, and the other." So most of their questions focused around strengths and weaknesses. Cedric was the one that asked about weaknesses. Eva said something, autism, but it's not a weakness. Kyle spoke about the overconfidence, how his first challenge, remember, Kevin had actually dislocated his shoulder, and then he and Kyle went off into the woods, and Kevin ended up still bringing back supplies for the trial, and Kyle didn't. So the jury compliments different people. And then Chrissy says that what she wants to know what is going to happen now, because she said both of you can't win. She just flat out told Joe and Eva, when are you going to turn on each other? They both said they don't have to turn on each other. They still do this integrity song and dance. And then when we see the votes, well, first Kyle gave his real profession. Eva ended up giving her real profession to kind of piggyback off Kyle. And Mary was asking what the jury perception is. Or is the jury wrong about them? Eva started bragging. We had the strongest duo in the game. We were running the game, this, that, and the other. And then Kyle was saying, no, we actually had a duo, which was Camila and myself, which no one knew about. Remember, David outed them, and Kyle orchestrated to get David kicked out. So they did have the strongest alliance, the strongest secret alliance. So Eva and Joe were kind of shocked about that. I like seeing the look on their face when Kyle started to pop his stuff a little bit. And Camila set Kyle up. She asked a question about, Eva tried to claim credit. And then we orchestrated, we got Shaheen out, and Camila asked a question. Kyle, you want to elaborate on the Shaheen vote? Kyle started telling how it really went down with Shaheen. He said, Eva's the heart, Joe is the muscle, and Shaheen is the brain. I needed to take out the brain. And he was able to do that. He got Joe and Eva to doubt Shaheen. Those three were supposed to be the final three. Instead, it ends up being with the top four was the two, Kyle and Camila, and then Joe and Eva. And then surprisingly, Joe mentioned that, well, he said his 4 immunities, he used that to strengthen his position. And then he said he'd love to be able to have ability to take care of his kids the rest of his life. Kyle's making jokes about he had a bubble butt. I might need Cedric to help me out, this, that, and the other. And Joe said he's not a doctor or a lawyer. He's still a fire captain. And Eva says this is an unprecedented season. Vote for her. She carried a bunch of wood. This is really what she was saying. She carried a bunch of wood. She made Jeff cry. Something, autism. So as the votes came in, Cedric voted for Joe. Mary voted for Eva. Star voted for Eva, y'all. Camila and everybody else, Mitch, Shaheen David voted for Kyle. Kyle was the sole survivor. So I was so excited. I was honestly, Eva didn't deserve the 2 votes she got, but I really felt like if Kyle or Camila made it to the finale, that they were going to split the vote. Joe and Eva were going to split the votes. They were one team. Eva really didn't have to do much, and I'm not going to take away from her. She was a powerful player, but she really did not have a social game. It was actually Joe that people liked or didn't like. I didn't care for the way Joe was dismissive. Once he knew somebody was going home, Joe was very dismissive. And I felt that there's kind of a cruelty in letting people know, well, no, you're next. There's no need to scramble. There's nothing you could do. There was a scene, the way he and Eva talked to Mary was very dismissive. And I thought was almost bullying sometimes the way they treated Star. So Kyle was the sole survivor. He was so excited. Jeff started to question him, and Kyle was kind of just undone to be able to take this $1 million home. He's getting engaged in a month. He's eating his pizza and champagne. And Jeff said, I'll give you a minute. Then he used that to toss to Eva. Eva starts something autism, this, that, and the other. And then Jeff shows a preview for the next season that's coming up, 49. And then I'm hearing rumors about 50. They're trying to bring people back that are fan favorites. But just looking at it now, it's a lot of speculation. I'm sorry. It looks like some of these comments are not updating. But Sharon, I do like your comments. We are kind of thinking the same about what was going on with this. They were trying to set it up for Eva to win, but it is Survivor. A lot of that, what happens is you're not going to be able to orchestrate that, and they couldn't orchestrate it. And Kyle indeed had the best answers. And I love that he was able to finally share his story with people. And Christy told him, she said, I'm really proud of you that you could be incarcerated and now you're an attorney. So Kyle is very impressive. And also Camila. Star made the point. She said that if Camila was the one sitting there, either against Kyle or against even Eva and Joe, that he would have won. Joe and Eva were shocked. The look on their faces. Yeah, I just was throughout the season. I was saying, just go ahead to the fast forward to the finale, split the check, because it was just ridiculous the way Jeff and Survivor was doing. They had one scene during one of those challenges earlier in the season, and Joe, they had this slow motion with the water coming off his body and a fly landing on him. And I was like, this is crazy. This man must be the winner, because why are they shooting this like this? Because everybody out there was working hard. But I'm so thrilled that Kyle won that $1 million. Jeff, of course, he acted like he was happy, but he wanted to write that check for Joe and Eva. I'm surprised they didn't come up with some special prize right then to give to Eva, plus another big serving of food for her to eat with her fingernails in front of us. But that was it. The season 48, end of the season. I don't know if I like how they do this finale, because there are players that got sent home earlier before the jury that we didn't get to hear from. I would have loved to hear from Say, even Thomas. I didn't care for Thomas, but Thomas was a big character. We could have heard from Thomas. There were people that went. Kevin was playing all sides. Justin. So yeah, Sharon. Sometimes that's the one thing I like about this show. They will set up somebody as a star. The audience chooses the star. And then he actually had the nerve. Star, you're just a light. We love you. And I'm like, well, why y'all leave the girl on mute for the first 4 episodes and try to make her seem like a big dummy, kind of crashing around the jungle, trying to figure out a puzzle that she'd never figure out until Eva kind of cheated her out of the idol. That was another thing I didn't like about Eva. Her deception. She's saying, well, I just wanted people to think I'm this jock, but I'm really a PhD candidate, this, that, and the other. So Eva was deceptive too, talking about she's so full of integrity. But yeah, it ended up the way that I wanted it to end up. If Camila didn't win, I was happy that Kyle won, since the people that I actually chose to win were out early. So Sharon, thank you for discussing that with me. Everybody that came in, those of you in the bushes, just click the like button. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for joining Sandra P's Gen Xtra for the final recap, final thoughts on the end of Survivor season 48. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you. Bye.